Okay, praise the Lord. Now, last week we started laying foundation. We asked ourselves the question: is the knowledge, we was saying that, is the knowledge of textual criticism important for Christianity? And we said yes, that is important. Okay, this is our job. This is one of our job as Christian. We know, like we've read, that there are so many wolves in sheep clothing. There are so many devil inspired people out there that want to overthrow the faith of many, or that want to stop so many people from coming to faith. And that is why it is very, very important for us. And we said that one of the reasons is to protect the sheep, and this is very, very, very important. And one of the things I did the last time is to actually look at secular history and talk about secular history, and let people know that when we talk about the Bible and you compare it to secular history, you will see that a lot of the things that the people say about the Bible, as if this was strange, as if they want to, they want to, how will I put it, they want to deceive us that the Bible is different. Okay, what tends to happen is that people want to use a different standard to judge the Bible and a different standard to judge other secular ancient manuscripts. So, and that's one of the things we did the last time. And you remember I showed you quite a number, few, not quite a number, few examples of manuscripts. So today we are going to move on very, very quickly. So we want to we want to now focus on the Bible today. And the question is, what about this alleged corruption? What about this corruption that people talk about? All right. And obviously by now you know that there is a lot of misleading lies when people talk about corruption in the scripture, in the Bible. So we are going to deal with this. Okay, so we are going to look at manuscript evidence. In other words, we are going to look at the evidence within the manuscript of the Bible themselves. And number two, we are then going to compare biblical manuscript with other ancient manuscript. Now let me lay some foundation here. Okay, this is what opposition will say when you hear people like Bart Ehrman and other atheists that want to destroy the Bible, this Bible hater. What they will emphasize is that the Bible is copies of copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. We don't have the original. I think I've debunked that. I'm not going to spend my time. We've already done that. Okay. The fact is that everything you have, every history you know today, comes to you through manuscripts that are copies of copies of copies. That by itself does not disqualify the Bible. Okay. Then they will talk about this corruption. They will say there are 400,000 corruption in the Bible. Okay, the word corruption, what most Bible textual critics talk about is variant, because when you use the word corruption, you are intentionally being biased. Okay, because when you say there are this many corruption, you are saying that those things were done intentionally because the people that did it deceived. So the word to use is actually variant. Okay, because yes, it is true, like I said in the last teaching, that people can actually want to corrupt, okay, the text because they have their own hidden agenda. So that's the first thing. Then people talk about this 400,000 variants. You say, whoa, that is huge, especially when you consider that in the New Testament there are less than 150,000 words in New Testament. In fact, there are 133,162 words in the New Testament. So if there are that number in the word in the New Testament and you have 400,000 variants, that means that you have nearly 3 variants per word of the New Testament word. So, okay, how can we be confident that the text that we are reading today is an accurate reflection of what was originally written? And obviously, this is the reason why a lot of these people that say things like that actually say it that way. Straight away, you know, there's a lot of lies, a lot of playing havoc with the truth when people say things like that. Let me give you an example. Let me give you a good example. Let's say you want to go for an operation. Let's say you want to go for a very difficult operation. This is a difficult operation, and you are given the choice of 3 surgeons that can do your operation. And quite understandably, you ask, what is the mortality rate for each one of the surgeon? And by the way, in Western world, these are information you can easily get if you want to know details of the mortality rate, the mobility rate of a particular surgeon. So let's say you have three. So you have three surgeons and you want to do an operation. So surgeon 1, surgeon 2, and surgeon 3. Okay, so these people are going to do your operation. So you ask a simple question. Can you tell me how many people have died that these three surgeons have operated upon? Okay, this operation that I want to go and do, how many people have died? So if you ask them for this first surgeon, the first one, they say, look, this one, only 2 people have died when he does the operation. Only 2 people died. This one, 10 people has died. We're talking about this operation you are going for. But this third one, you know, this third one, 50 people have died when he does the same operation. How many of you, just based on that information, will go for this one? You know the truth, I actually know some people that will do that. I mean, it's no brainer, they will say. I mean, this first doctor, only 2 people died. This second doctor, 10 people died. I mean, can you imagine this one, this third one, 50 people die? Will you make a decision just based on this information? If you do make a decision just based on this information, you need help. Why? Because this information by itself means nothing. By itself. It may mean something, but we need further information. Because the fact that this guy have had 2 doesn't say anything. And when these people throw, and this is the problem when people throw out statistics. People throw out statistics sometimes to hide the truth. I mean, statistics is supposed to help you with the truth, but oftentimes people throw out statistics because they are hiding something. So when people throw out statistics like this, there are 400,000 corruption in the Bible or in the New Testament manuscript. What does that actually mean? Okay, let's come back to our example. Okay, what other question do you want to ask yourself? Yes, absolutely. This guy that you said have 2 deaths. I want to know more. How many people has he operated? Sorry, he has only operated 4. Oh, okay. That changed the picture because this guy has only operated 4 people. And he has 2 deaths. What does that tell you? That means that 1 out of every 2 people that this guy operate die. Oh, okay. Do you still want him to operate you? No. Okay, what about this guy? Actually, this guy that have 100 deaths, he has actually operated 100 people. What does that tell you? That tells you that this one out of 10 people that, I mean, this is a very difficult operation. Don't misunderstand me, okay? But, you know, number 2 is better than 1. Now, you see, this information is actually telling you something that put the other first information into perspective. But what about this guy, this third guy? All right, what you need to understand about this third guy is that he has actually operated over 2,000 people. Oh, okay. This guy has actually operated over 2,000 people. But not only that, this guy is the best in his field. In fact, this third guy, the patient that he sees are patients that other people cannot deal with. Is the one that they send people to when nobody can help them. Do you see? Do you see how further information actually makes a difference? Okay, so when people talks, number one, when people talks about the fact that the Bible has been corrupted, okay, that word corruption is inflammatory. That word corruption is wrong. Okay, all right. You can use the word corruption if you can prove that those things were done because people were intentionally trying to corrupt the scripture. We all know, everybody know that most of the mistakes you have in copying of old manuscript comes because people make honest copies mistake. So the word to use is variant, number 1. Number 2, when you tout these 400,000, what does that mean? Every document produced prior to printing and even after printing has been corrupted, quote and unquote, in its transmission. Every document that you are going to hand copy. So again, I've spent time on that, so I'm not going to spend too much time. This so-called corruption, people use that word for any variance or alteration in the text, no matter how minor. And I am going to show you how minor some of these things can be that is called corruption. So don't let anybody upset you. Don't let anybody pull the wool over your face when people use the word corruption. The Bible has been corrupted. 99% of all such variants in the Bible do not impact the meaning of the text. They are the type of mistake that many of you will not even know when you read it. And I'm going to give you some simple example. Many of them cannot even be translated out of the Greek. For example, I have an example for you. Look at this word, an apple. That's what you want to write. But if you write a apple, if you translate an apple and a apple, will it make any difference? These are the type of the thing they are counting to say there are 400,000 corruption in the Bible. Number one, these are mistakes that does not impact on the meaning of the text, will not stop you from understanding the text, does not change any meaning of the text, and also very, very importantly, they cannot even be translated out of the Greek. Other variations are variation in spelling or word order. Okay, so when people give you this statistic, ask yourself. Now let me give you an example here that I've created myself. Let's say the first manuscript says my name is Femi Fenojo, and that's my name. Somebody copied that first manuscript and wrote it, my name is Femi Fenojo. Now when you compare this is the original one, this is the uncopied one. When you compare the second one with the first, the Bible distraction will say, oh, there are 5 corruptions in the second manuscript. Let's count the 5. Number one, the fact that I use small letter instead of capital letter is considered to be a corruption. Number one, the fact that I put a space between name, M and E, is not corruption. Number 2, the fact that I actually mistakenly double SEs is corruption. Number 3, you see, there should be a space between Femi and Fenojo. I didn't put a space. It's number 4. Can you check what is the last corruption? Yes, the last corruption. You see the full stop there. There's no full stop here. And that is 5 corruption. How many of you, when you read that, cannot read that my name is Femi Fenojo? You actually don't need this for you to understand what I was saying. The 400,000 variant or corruption that people talk about, they are this type of things. I mean, there are other things that I'm going to show you, but I just want you to see that these are the things that, they are variant, okay? In the field of textual criticism, yes, they need to be counted. Nobody's against that. But when people tout this type of statistic, they need to put a note underneath that this is what we are talking about, and this is the type of textual mistake or copy mistake you will see when you copy anything. Now, it's even better, depending on which side it is, better or worse. The simple fact is that the more manuscript you have for a particular work, the more textual variance you will have. You remember my story? The more patient you operate, the more mortality and morbidity you will have. When you say there are 400,000 variants, I need more information. How many manuscripts have you counted that gave you that 400 variants? So number one, I want to know what is the quality of this variant, of this corruption. What is the quality? Okay, does it affect the text? Does it affect the meaning? Can it be translated out of the original? That's the first thing. The second thing is that number you are giving me, how many manuscripts is that number coming from? Because the fact is that the more manuscript you have for a particular work, the more textual variance you are going to have. So if you are going to compare the Bible to other ancient documents, if one document has only 4 manuscripts or 10 manuscripts or even 100 manuscripts, and you are telling me they only have this number of variants, but if another document have 2,000, in fact, the Bible, as of the time I prepared my slide, the Bible had almost 6,000 catalog manuscripts of the New Testament, the average of which is 200 pages long. That is over 1.3 million pages of hand-copied text spanning over 1,500 years before the invention of printing. And also, when you then look at what are really those variants, those mistakes that are viable and meaningful, those ones that are really, really viable, those ones that maybe can change the meaning of the text. When you actually look at that, they said that there are less than 2,000 viable and meaningful New Testament textual variants. And I'm even going to talk about those ones in a second. That's about 1%. 99% we are not even going to look at those. because they meant nothing. They bring nothing to the table. They don't even need a second look. This 1%, when you look at how many manuscripts we have, when you look at how long they've been, you begin to realize, come to think of it, this is a miracle. But even the 1% need to be understood, even when the variance does impact on the reading. The vast majority are simple error of sight or hearing, depending on how the manuscript was produced. And there is a particular one here that we are talking about. They call it Homo. When you are copying, when some things have similar ending, then you can jump them. And in large majority of instances, the careful student of the text can see which reading. And now the thing is that yes, if that happened in one manuscript, you can look at another manuscript. Let me give you an example. I have two sentences here. Now you may be wondering, this first one, why is there no space between that sentence? Now let me talk about that, because that is very, very important. You know, in those days, when you remember I said they were writing on papyrus and they were writing on skin, parchment and things like that. You see, in those days, because the writing materials are so scarce, they actually write without putting space between words, and that is what is called the unclear text. By so doing they save space. But the thing is that everybody, you can read. Okay, let's go back to my example. Okay, so the first one here is an unclear text. There's no space, but you can read it. My name is Fenojo. I am a pastor. I mean, if that's the way you write in your culture, it's not going to be a difficult thing for you to read. But let's now say I want to copy this and I want to write it out in such a way, modern way, where there will be space. Now I've written it out saying my name is Fenojo, I'm a pastor. Straight away you will see that I have omitted my first name. I have omitted Femi. Now, why did I omit Femi? Is it because I'm being mischievous? No. The reason is very simple. It's a typographical error, it's a copyist error. You see, you can see FE here, you can see FE here. You can see that obviously when I copy up to this point and I look back to continue copy, I somehow jump this because FE here looks like FE here, and that is the way why I jump Femi. And this is what they call Homo etulation. When things have similar ending, when you are copying, your eyes can actually jump that verse. I mean, this happens all the time. Sometimes we are doing, you know, family devotion and somebody's reading the scripture and they just jump a verse. They are not trying to be mischievous. They you know, what they read just look like the beginning of the other one. They just jump the whole verse completely. And these are the type of the 1% that even that type of thing can easily be. I mean, if you are reading a text with this, you may not even notice it. But when you read another text, and when you get another manuscript and you compare them together, you can actually realize, you know what, that text actually jump the name in between. The greatest number of variants are differences or error in spelling. For example, one manuscript, instead of spelling John, the author of Codex Vaticanus spelled John with only one N instead of the common spelling with two N. This type of variant makes no difference in the meaning of the text. The second largest group arises because of omission of small Greek word or variation in word order. For example, in Greek, a person's name may or may not be preceded by an article D, and the phrase the good man could also be written in Greek as the man, the good one. Although in English both phrases are translated the good man, this type of variance also makes no difference to the meaning in the text. Even this 1% that we are talking about, these are the type of mistake that we are talking about. Okay, now let's look at 1 John chapter 3 verse 1. In the New American Standard Version, there is the word "and such we are," but the modern text contains an important phrase affirming our adoption as children of God through Christ that is not found in King James, because the Greek text from which King James was translated lacked that phrase. But why? This is an example of things with similar ending. Okay, and that is what happened. And when you compare one text with another text, you can actually put this thing together. And by the way, even if that word "such as we are" is not found in King James Version in John chapter 3 verse 1, you can actually get that understanding in many other verses in King James Version. So let me give you kind of a list here. Now this is not exhaustive. These are the type of list that people call corruption. These are the type of copyist mistake that can happen. Okay, you know, confusion of similar letters, substitution of similar sounding word, omission of a letter or word usually due to similar letters or word in context, a letter or word that has been written twice instead of one, reversal in order of two letters or word, incorrect word division that results in two words being joined as one, incorrect word division that results in one word written as two, and omission caused by two words or phrases that end similarly, and omission caused by two words or phrases that begin similarly, another omission. But the thing is that when you break it down, like we broke it down here, you will see that actually the Bible is in a class of its own. There's this book. I'm going to leave it on the screen just for a few seconds. If this is your thing, if you want to look into this book is a comprehensive volume. It offers people answer to every major difficulty from Genesis chapter 1 to Revelation. Okay, and essentially it's a book that defends the authority and the inspiration of the scriptures. Yes, there are questions, okay, but the thing is that when you put them in context, you will see that actually this point is in favor of the Bible. So what I'm saying is this, what I'm saying in essence is this: when people talk about, the Bible, understand that the Bible is supported by many textual evidences than any other book of ancient antiquity, and we've not even gone all the way to that, but we will. Or we will. And this is very important so that you will know that the Bible you have in your hand is true, is a true copy, is a true reflection. It's been put under the microscope, it's been put under the telescope, and this word, compared to other ancient documents, passes with flying color. I think I'm going to stop there. If you are listening to me and you are not a Christian, what are you still waiting for? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. Time is short. Jesus Christ is coming back soon. You need to invite him into your life. No religion will save you. No good work will save you. And that is why God provided a way of salvation for us.